Hey, Melissa, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I've had the privilege of knowing you for many years. We got to work with you with both of our children, and that's why I was so excited to call you. I think it was almost 2 years ago to tell you about this crazy idea to create Harbor and a remote night nanny platform, and your genuine enthusiasm to say, I just want to help more parents and more kids get that healthy sleep has led to this really productive partnership. We're so glad to have you as a part of the team. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Always a goal helping these families.
So one of the things that stuck out in our early conversations was you said, it's really all about developing healthy sleep habits. A lot of people talk about sleep with kids in a lot of different ways. And this was the most healthy, if you will, way that I've heard it described. So what does it mean when you say develop healthy sleep habits? And you've now worked with thousands of families. How did you come to this approach? And when you are talking with families, how do you help them understand what you're trying to do and the science and the reality behind it?
Sure. So, my background being a NICU nurse, I found I did lots of teaching in the hospital setting and discharging families and teaching families how to care for their babies. Something we did not talk a lot about was sleep. And, you send, especially NICU babies, they go home on a schedule. But how do you stretch those nighttime feeds and what happens after that? So when I had my first daughter, I knew a lot about babies, but I did not know how to help her sleep well. And we were very tired, and months into it, I knew there had to be a better way. So I did a lot of research, and, luckily there's been, some great research the last really 2 decades on pediatric sleep and plans to get there. And so just pulling from all of that information, there is, there are age and developmentally appropriate schedules and plans to help stretch nighttime sleep. So just kind of putting that all together started helping families outside of the hospital setting, and now has evolved into something else. So the biggest thing is starting early. We don't have to wait to help babies sleep better and families sleep well. You really can start from day one, implementing simple things that naturally helps nighttime sleep. This does not have to be overly forced. And so, when you have a plan and you're staying consistent, sleep will naturally happen.
Yeah. So having worked with thousands of families, you're helping coach parents and saying you can start early. What does an engagement with Newborn Nightingales typically look like when a family comes in and says, I want to work with you? How do you approach a normal partnership? So someone before their child is born says, I want to work with you. What does it look like to come in and have one of your in-home night nannies or night nurses help a family? Because you also have sort of wraparound support. What is that process?
So it kind of depends on what support they want. Do they want, I do consultations where I come in and teach the families everything they need to do on their own, or I have a nighttime team who has worked with me for many years and does the same thing, can teach them to do that, but also is just that immediate support. I can teach families what to do and come in at 2 weeks, but it's still a process. So if families need that immediate support, then the nighttime team is a really good resource. But really teaching families what's age and developmentally appropriate, giving them a plan, giving them scheduling system, teaching them about sleep associations and routines. Feeds are a big one, and navigating these feeding, troubles that families find those first 3 months. That's a big key. We're going to have babies eating at night if they're not able to get those calories in during the day. So making sure that we're, addressing all of those key points the right way. It's like a little puzzle, and it fits nicely if you do.
When you are working with a family, let's say their children are, 3 or 4 months old and healthy, so age and stage appropriate, what are some of the kind of fundamentals to help them get to sleeping through the night as early as possible? What are some of the pillars that you are working with a family at let's say a 3 or 4 month old child?
The biggest thing is giving them the tools so they can be successful. A lot of families will reach out and say, I've done this, 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 and this, and it's just not working right. Something's not fitting just right then. We have to give kids these specific tools, and it has to be age and developmentally appropriate for sleep to come naturally. So, making sure they're on the right schedule, making sure they're in the right, correct sleep environment that's, helpful for sleep. Talking about those sleep associations, those routines, talking about their daytime intake. Those are all those big key pieces that we need to address for that age group.
When we talked in the earliest of days about how to build a support system for parents everywhere, one of the things that you said really resonated with me, despite having raised two kids myself. Success during the day equals success at night. And what you had sort of highlighted was people are trying to fix a sleeping problem at 2 a.m. And that's the wrong time to address the problem, because the day was chaos. They didn't eat enough during the day. So other than, not establishing the healthy rhythms during the day, what are one or two of the other kind of biggest mistakes or issues that you see parents making that lead to those really challenging nights?
Probably one of the biggest things is not knowing what sleep really looks like, taking a snapshot and like, what can we realistically expect from this particular age group? That's very helpful. We expect kids to still wake up from time to time, and what we do about it is a big key factor there. And then also just being proactive about changes. Is it time to take a swaddle away? Is it time to change our nap schedule up during the day they're 4 months old? What are we doing with these feedings? Is it time to increase feeds? We've hit a growth spurt. So being proactive about those changes is another big one.
So the more difficult topic, eager to hear some feedback that we can share with parents. It's very understandable that the sound of your children's cry is one of the more distressing elements of being a parent, and frankly, of any parent's life, is hearing their children's cry. It's so understandable that parents want to rush in to be there for their child when they hear them cry. And it's even understandable that parents feel like they may be doing something wrong if they're not immediately tending to their children. You've now worked with thousands of parents across, I think, more than a decade in developing healthy sleep habits. How do you coach parents, and what do you help them understand or internalize about the challenges of hearing their children cry at night?
So hard. And I always say that it never gets easier to hear your child cry. You have a 16-year-old and she's crying about something. It's still hard to hear your child cry.
Yeah.
So that piece never gets easier. But understanding why our children cry is really important, and what we can do about that to still help them and to maintain a very practical sleep plan. Sleep is very important. That is undeniable. It is very important. And giving your child this foundation of great sleep and going into grade school, there's really it should be primo as a parent to make sure that you're giving that to your children. So my biggest thing is start early. No one wants to hear their baby cry. And if you start super early and you are giving them those tools, they are great sleepers, and you do not have to sleep train later. There may be some little inconsistencies down the road, but you already have this great sleep plan put into place, and you're not looking at that daunting sleep training and self-soothing later. But if you get to that point, and it is really imperative that why your baby's crying. If they're sick, we absolutely are going to take care of their needs. But if it's something else, and we can make adjustments during the day, or to their feeds, or to their sleep environment, or taking away a swaddle or something like that, that is that proactive piece where you can really limit that crying if you're staying on top of it.
There are a litany of sleep experts on social media that will tell parents that they should never leave their child unattended, never have their child cry for more than the time it takes to run into the room, because all of these reasons, and children are incapable of sleeping through the night until some very far out time. It's hard when there's that type of information out there that is confusing for parents, because you have a social media influencer with 500,000 followers that tells you should never allow your child to cry at night. When you have those conversations with parents, what do you say?
I think parenting is very personal, and you have to decide what's right for your family, and you can validate any concern online. If you value sleep and you want your family to reap the benefits of that great sleep for years to come, then it is important to help your baby be a great sleeper from the get-go. So there's not one way to do this, that's for sure. But I have found in my experience over 10 years doing this and helping thousands of families that it can be done. It is, these babies are very successful. And, families can sleep well. You don't have to be so sleep deprived as a parent. You can have great sleep habits too.
So you're saying there's hope?
There's so much hope. Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for this first chat. I know we'll have many more to come, diving deeper on different topics. And for anyone watching, Harbor used the pillars and the platforms that Melissa talked about to build our sleep guide and the schedules on a monthly basis so that everyone has access to this information. And if you are anywhere in Texas and are interested in some in-home or direct consultations, Newborn Nightingales is the company that Melissa started I think over a decade ago, and has helped thousands of families. You do incredible work. Your team is amazing. So thank you for coming on, and looking forward to diving into additional topics as we move forward.
Thank you. I hope so. I look forward to it.
Thanks, Melissa.
Bye.